One of the hardest questions that I was asked, I have a life coach. One of the questions he asked me is, Dan, what are your values? What do you live for? That's really hard. Because if you ask, what do you do? That's an easier question. But purpose is so important. 80% of CEOs, according to a global survey that was done, believe that purpose with employees is so important. And yet, a tiny proportion actually know how to cultivate that. Next guy who's coming up, I'd like to introduce a man who invests in ideas, people, and meaning. Please put your hands together for Christos Tsolkas.
Thank you, Dan. Good afternoon. I would like to talk to you about purpose. Now, you are a group of young and very ambitious entrepreneurs and founders. And I'm working in a corporate strategy in a global company in tobacco. So how can I potentially motivate you, inspire you, get you interested about my story on purpose? In my view, purpose is key to entrepreneurial innovation in our days. It drives growth, it differentiates one company from another, and encourages employees to do good through their job. So in order to tell you my story of how I came to this conclusion, I will use a few stages, and at the end you will see there is a twist. So I first realized purpose in action when I was working in Ukraine as a managing director for my company. So soon after I arrived, a terrible crisis erupted. Thousands of protesters on the streets, shootings from police, paramilitary, terrible crisis. The country was in a collapsing stage. So leading a company in such a condition was an extraordinary challenge. I had the opportunity to describe my experience for Harvard Business Review. My team was frightened, disrupted, and totally defocused. So for me, the clear purpose from the beginning was twofold. On one hand, I had to make sure that everybody was safe. And on the other hand, somehow, I had to deliver on the normal business results. So on one hand, you must say that it's such an easy objective, or it's an easy purpose to articulate and sell to your team. But somebody else would say, no, hang on a second. How you can persuade people to deliver results when their life is in danger? Instead, my team followed, and we did an extremely good work. Being in a crisis is galvanizing. It brings people together. It stresses you to focus on the really essential elements of the job. You learn very fast from your mistakes, and you move on and move on. The results were great. We achieved, first of all, everybody was safe. Second, we achieved all the like-for-like targets that we have set in the beginning of the year. And most importantly, within this crisis, a number of new leaders were born out of a purposeful team. Right after Ukraine, I was moved to our operational headquarters in Switzerland, in Lausanne, where I took a global job working for Sales Strategy Group. To be very honest and frank with you, I was a little bit deflated. Being an actions guy, to sit in a corporate office was a little bit awkward for me. And especially having passed the tremendous experience, let's say, the vibrations of the team in Ukraine, I was feeling like being stuck in just another corridor. So although I was responsible for the good of 20,000 salespeople around the world working for our company, my responsibility was pretty much indirect. I didn't have any direct, let's say, authority over them. So I started questioning myself. How can I find back this excitement? Should I keep on working for such an industry, tobacco, which is old, conservative, controversial, with not a big move around? What should I do about it? Should I resign and do something else? But then I thought, you know, maybe I had to look somewhere else to find this missing inspiration and excitement. And I had the idea of the startups, of the world of startups. So I thought, how can I borrow some of these elements of the startups and inject them into the organization? Why other big companies, they don't do that? So I start making trips to Stanford and to Silicon Valley just to decode this secret formula. So my take out of this formula was, first of all the startups had a purpose. Second, there was an overt and tremendous energy. There were tight relationships, tight working relationships. There was agility. And there was this mindset of do whatever it takes. So I tried to hack this chemistry. I tried to hack this formula and create an internal startup with my small team. So we tried to change everything. We tried to change the mood. We tried to change our offices. We started having different types of discussions in the company. The results were good. But we are a small team. We could not change the world. So we start thinking, what is missing? How can I bring this spirit into scale? So the idea is that we were missing purpose, but not just a wishy-washy word, purpose, etc. Something concrete, something really, something that can really tick. So we start thinking, what is purpose? What's the definition of, what is the purpose of purpose? Okay. And in this search, we realized that there are three types of definitions, if you like, three types of understanding. For some people, purpose is meaningful life and work. For some other companies, it is just a corporate affairs or corporate responsibility exercise. Very few organizations translate purpose as the unique ability of a company to have an impact in the world through their business. Thinking about tech companies like Google, Amazon, Facebook, these guys are really explicit. But then we thought, how about other industries? How about big companies? How about traditional industries like us? So we thought that a good proxy would be the food industry. So we start analyzing the food industry, and we're surprised, positively surprised. Why? Because if you think that, and if you analyze the job that Danone is doing, it's all about trying to reduce the world hunger and to improve nutrition. If you look deeper at Nestle, they organize themselves behind 38 commitments to the society, including things like reducing sugar and salt from the foods, eliminating child labor. At Unilever, every brand has a social cause. Every brand has a social footprint. Now, somebody might say that, give us a break, food and drinks industries are very much connected with issues like health, nutrition, etc., etc. So they have to present themselves like that. But then we start analyzing more, and we understood that a lot of these initiatives, they brought them to these companies growth, share, performance. And then we expanded our scope. We moved beyond food and beverage industry, and we were again surprised. All the dynamic companies, all the companies that are today's example, they are inspirational for you because of their growth and their performance, they're having purpose as part of their business model. Some of them, they operate within, let's say, a traditional space. Some of them, their purpose is operationally led. For example, make better products or have a diversity in the talent. Some others, they are expanding the purpose and they are trying to cover broader needs, either societal needs like injustice or inequality, or planet issues like global warming or like hunger. On the other hand, we realize that some companies are operating in existing space and some others in totally new spaces. So we try to factor all these elements. We try to rank them and to put this 2 by 2, let's say, simple model. The results, although strongly subjective, they were quite interesting. So if you define the first upper left box as a hypergrowth, in this box you see companies that they are operating within the existing, let's say, operational purpose, but they are expanding their innovation efforts in order to cover unmet consumer needs. And the pretty nice example here is what Kevin Stacy was describing in the morning, Netflix. Netflix provides at a reasonable price, as he told us, entertainment everywhere, anytime. And they disrupted the market and they achieved this tremendous growth by, first of all, trying to attack the home video market by delivering by mail DVDs and then by streaming services. If you go to bottom down box, you will see a very busy, highly populated box where traditional companies are operating within their existing spaces. Here you see companies that are of high market capitalization, very strong competition with each other, especially because they have a purpose, but it's not distinctive enough, and they end up doing incremental improvements in products and services in order to get incremental results. Moving on the other box that we called redefine, in this area, in this space, companies are operating in traditional businesses, but they are doing something more in terms of purpose. They are doing something bigger. They are trying to touch consumers and customers on global challenges. And I like the Tom's Shoes example here because they operate in the shoes industry, right? But they are trying to alleviate the global problem of shoelessness, especially in the developing world, by putting into their model, into their business exercise, this purpose. And they say for every pair of shoes that you buy, there is one pair of shoes which is gifted. So in a crowded shoes market, they provide differentiation and distinction, and they touch the hearts of people that they want to do something good with their money for the world. And finally, in the last box, which we call disrupt, there you see companies that they are doing both. They are moving into totally different spaces, totally different areas, and at the same time, they do something globally distinctive, fresh, new. They do something good for the planet. And I like to give this the example of Khan Academy and the whole MOOCs movement, where they say free education for everybody, everywhere. They disrupted a very traditional education industry big time. And they provided a lot of distinction and differentiation with the establishment and the status quo of the education. So you see that this matrix makes some logic, right? And then when we saw that, the first idea is that if you're a startup, if you're a company, or an existing company, and you want to perform best, you need to find your space, and you need to, let's say, integrate your purpose with your business model, and stay there. Don't move out of your lane. Stay there. Thinking deeper, we realize that the most successful, the most exciting companies are either up or right. And there are existing big corporations today that are doing this movement, up and right. If you think IBM, which is a global technology provider, they are trying to leverage on global needs. And they say, smarter planet, smarter cities, smarter healthcare. Also, quite recently, in the last year, there is a total transformation in the automotive industry, where you can see that big companies, they are trying to expand their purpose, and also they are moving into new spaces. as they are trying to reduce the harm they do in the planet by fossil technology. They are trying to reduce accidents, and they are trying to improve efficiencies. And that's why they're collaborating with other companies in order to go to self-driving cars, in order to go to car-sharing services. So for you, as young entrepreneurs, this analysis is quite important for two reasons. One, that find your purpose, make it click, make it connected with your business model, and then try to innovate by moving up into new spaces and touching global issues that people around us are interested about. But maybe you are thinking now that I'm theoretical and, okay, how can we do all these things? How we can possibly innovate, find a purpose, and then make money? How you can do that, right? My view on that is that you need to start from purpose and do a reverse engineering. Go back step by step and develop some innovation in order to solve every problem at every stage. Think for a moment Elon Musk and Tesla. Tesla is not the initiator, but it is the result of his thinking about solving the global problem of planet warming and climate change. Elon is borrowing principles from the business, and he is trying to organize the problem that he wants to attack into small, manageable pieces, and then he's solving every piece one at a time. What is he doing? Of course, everybody knows that the primary responsible for the global warming is the CO2 emissions. Who's responsible for these emissions? Fossil fuels. Who's using fossil fuels? Cars, vehicles. How we can solve the problem? By solar energy. But how we can do that in scale? Making electric cars. Yeah, but how can I make people switch from normal cars to electric cars? Simply, to make a car which is high performance, sexy, good looking, make an electric car where drivers can find easy a way to deal with the batteries, provide them convenience, provide them infrastructure, etc., step by step. And then when you make the very nice Tesla car and you get scale, you can sell it cheaper. So define your problem and go back step by step, innovate, and solve it. I believe today, purpose is the new paradigm for leadership. Trust for big corporations, for institutions, for the status quo is minimized, is minimum. Consumers and customers and employees, they are buying or they are working for companies that they have something to do more than their strict operational targets. Technology and products today can be easily copied, or they are free. Entrepreneurial innovation, growth, can be facilitated by sticking to a sense of purpose and meaning. Now, you might say, why I'm telling you all these things, and what is the connection with Philip Morris? And it's very fair for somebody to ask this question. I must say that we were operating for the last, I don't know how many decades, in box number 2, down and left. Compete, trying to make better products for our smokers, meaning packaging and taste, basically. These were the two areas of innovation. In the last years, we tried to change completely our purpose and try to disrupt not only our industry, but also, hopefully, the public health for the world. Let me explain you more about that. If you're a smoker today and you have concerns for your health, you need to immediately stop smoking. You need to quit, or even never start. According to WHO, in the next years, the next foreseeable future, there are going to be 1 billion consumers around the world that they either want to continue smoking or they find it hard to do, to quit. So the question is, what do you do with them? Many people believe that the solution for this global problem is called harm reduction. Harm reduction is simply the activity, the intention to provide less risky products to these consumers that they have the proper appeal in order for them to adopt. If you invent a product with zero risk and zero or limited appeal, you do nothing. You do zero. Okay? So behind this concept, we based our full change of our purpose. In the last years, we hired 400 scientists, and we spent more than $2 billion in order to develop and try to scientifically assess products that are or can be potentially less risky for the consumers and have some specific appeal. We invented products. Some products are with tobacco, some products are without tobacco. The first technology of this, in this attempt is heat not burn technology, and we launched a product under the name IQOS in 2014 in Nagoya, Japan, and then we expanded to the whole country. Now it is being sold in, let me show you how it is. Now it is being sold in 10 countries, including Germany, and our ambition is to double the countries that exist in the next months. The heat not burn technology does the following thing. If you heat tobacco up to 300 Celsius and not burn it to 900 Celsius, 90 to 95% of the harmful or potentially harmful compounds of the tobacco smoke do not exist. We are in the process of proving scientifically this product, this concept, the fact that it reduces harm. The first results are very encouraging and very indicative that we are moving in the right direction. Our CEO is committed, and it is publicly stated that he wants us to participate in the campaign of changing all our existing smokers into reduced risk products consumers. Already we have 600,000 smokers in Japan having stopped smoking and exclusively consuming this product. So you understand that our ambition is, our new purpose is to move from a traditional tobacco company into a science-based innovation, tobacco or nicotine delivery company, and in the future, completely a reduced risk products company. This gives us a total change in the climate of the company. The mindset is different, the energy is back. Everybody is looking forward to this mission, vision, and new purpose. And me personally, I follow 100% aligned with my personal purpose with the company purpose. And I think that all the attempts that I was doing in the previous years in order to make a change in our field force around the world and make them more entrepreneurial, more purpose-driven, now they find a true area of practice. That's a new, exciting journey for us. And what I want you to keep as entrepreneurs and as founders for the future is 2-3 simple questions. Do you have a purpose in your new startup? Is this purpose connected with a mechanism, a concrete mechanism that it is a part of your model? Do you try to find ways of moving up into new spaces and right into more global needs, covering more global needs? Is there any way that you can excite your employees and your consumers in order to make something good for the planet? That's my story. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you so much, Christos, for sharing your story. Very inspiring. You can give the